Hello, this is going to be a video about how to put your Infinite Campus grades into CSV file and then Microsoft Excel. This is how I'm going to figure out what my students' grades were on March 11th, 12th, or 13th and delete the columns for the assignments from the online learning and figure out what their grade was. First, in Infinite Campus, you're going to click where it says Reports on the left-hand side. Then you're going to click on Gradebook Export. At the bottom, it'll say Generate CSV. Click on that, and then there'll be a file that appears. So open up that file. And I just made an example one here. I deleted my students' names and stuff. And what you're going to do, the first thing you want to do is save as and make this a Excel workbook instead of a CSV. So I'm going to call this Gradebook Export Excel period 1, and I'm going to save that one to be an Excel, not a CSV, which is how Campus exports it. And the reason is because the CSV file, it won't save the formulas that we're going to put in. The next thing is we want to delete the assignments to exclude. So for example, I have this accommodations column that they asked us to do, and the accommodations column doesn't have any numbers in it, so I've been typing the students' accommodations. So I'm just going to get rid of that column. It doesn't even have any numbers. And then assignments to exclude. So for mine, at the very end here, I've got my week 1 and 2 grades. I don't want those. I want all the grades that were before. And at least luckily for me, I had been naming it week 1, week 1, week 2, week 2. So it's pretty easy, but just make sure you know which were your assignments before. And I'm just going to delete those columns. I do use weighted grades, and so right here this is my last assessment category grade, and then starting in column K is where the learning activities start. So I'm just gonna right click on K and put insert, and I'm going to insert 3 columns here, because since I do weighted grades, I want to calculate this category first, and then I want to calculate this whole category, and then I'm going to make a column at the end for overall grade. So I deleted assignments to exclude, and I also deleted my accommodations column, or if you have any other columns like that for some reason you don't want to include, make sure you get rid of those. I do have one slight problem in my grade book for this class, which is that this kid, I gave him an X and excused on this particular thing. It was an in-class skit. He was absent. I just excused him from it. I'm going to have to deal with that grade a little bit later separately. If you have any excused or blanks in your grade book, you're going to have to deal with those a tiny bit separately. It won't take that long, but I'm just going to highlight his so I don't forget. Okay, so this is my category 1, which for me is like tests and quizzes and stuff. And I'm going to find the sum of each kid's, and then I'm also going to find their average. And in order to find the sum, I'm just going to click here on this first cell, and up here it says auto sum. I'm just going to click on that, and you can see it's highlighted all the grades that I want. Then I'm going to do it, hit enter, and it has calculated it, 20 plus 20 plus 10. And this first row, you can see, doesn't have a student name. This first row is the points possible. So my kids had been able to earn a possible 209 points in this category up until March 11th, 12th, or 13th. I'm going to then click on this little square in the corner and drag it down. And now it has calculated the sum for all the kids. Okay, I'm actually going to make this bold. Maybe make it like different color or something so I can see this number is going to be my denominator, my divisor, because this was the points possible. So now for my average, I want to put a little formula here, and the formula is going to be equals, and then for student number 1, K4 is how many points they earned in that category. So I'm going to type K4, or you can just click there, or type it, divided by, and for this class, they had a possible 209 points, right? That was the total. Then I'm going to do times 100, so I get a percentage. And student number one's test and quiz and assessment average was 97. Then I'm going to drag it down for all the kids. This is all the kids' average for this category. Last thing is this one kid who I excused. Now I'm kind of regretting it low, but that's okay. He was a possible 5 points, and I excused that student from it. So I'm going to click on his cell, and his divisor is no longer 209, it's 204, right? I just subtracted out those 5 points. So it didn't change too much, but if you use X for excused a lot, kids who had concussions, kids who were out with pneumonia or something, and you excuse them from a bunch of stuff, if you don't take that into account, this grade could be quite a bit different. Okay, then I have to do my other category. So I'm going to put here category 2, which for my class is called learning activities, but it's like their homework and participation and stuff and assignments. And I'm going to put also here the sum, and then the second column, I'm going to put the average. Now, you might remember I put 3 columns here. The reason is I want this one to be blank, a blank column to separate out my categories, because now when I click on that auto sum, watch, because of that blank, it only pulls the columns that I want. So that blank column is going to be helpful. Then I'm going to hit enter, and that's how many points my kids had possible for that category so far up until March 11th or 12th or 13th. Remember, I'm going to click on the cell. I'm going to click, just a left click on that little green box and drag it down. And then that now is the sums for all these kids. Finally, I need to calculate the average for each kid. And remember, oh, sorry, I didn't want those all to be red. Remember, our divisor now is going to be 160. So our formula is equals, and this kid, her total, wow, she's really good at homework and stuff. She got almost 100 on that. I'm going to put AG4, that's the cell, divided by the denominator, the divisor 160, times 100. So that's her learning activities average. And I'm going to click on this one and drag it down. That's everybody's learning activities average. And I'm going to double check. I don't see any X's or blanks in here, so I don't have to change the denominator for anybody. Finally, I want to find their overall average. This is the grade I'm going to put into this column that they want us to make that's not graded, that says like March 11 or March 12 or March 13 grade. And for that one, I just need to put another formula. And the formula is going to be equals, and then I do parentheses, right? Math teachers, I want a parentheses. And this child's first average I'm using is this one, L4. And if I click on it, it'll put it there. Or you can just type L4. And I only have the 2 categories, and it's 50-50. So it's going to be times 0.50, close parentheses, plus another parentheses. And then this is her other average, AH4. You can click or just type it, times 0.50. Then parentheses, then enter. Now I've calculated what that student's grade was on March 13th or 12th. I'm a little confused on which date we're supposed to use, but for me, it's pretty much the same. And then I'm going to left click on that little green box and pull it down. And now I've got all the kids' grades. These are the grades I'm going to put in to Canvas as a non-graded, column. And it's going to say at the top, like what Mandy's video said, something like March 11 or March 12 or March 13 baseline grade, so the kids can see what their grade was before online learning started. And I think that's about it. So that's for weighted grades. And then if you don't weight your grades, it's actually even easier, because I think I have an example here of kind of the same idea. Let's see. Yeah, so now I'm back to square one here. I've already deleted my week 1 and 2 assignments. I forgot to delete the accommodations column, but that's fine. And if I did not weight grades, now I don't need those 3 columns over here or anything. I'm just going to put here the sum and the average, and that is going to be it. So remember, I'm going to click on auto sum, and let me double check that. Yeah, okay, pulled the right columns, and hit a hard enter, a hard return. That's how many points there were possible, and I'm going to drag that down. And remember, this number is important, the total points possible. And then for this student, her grade is just going to be equals, and this was her points she earned, so column AD row 4, and then divided by the points possible, which was 369, times 100, and that's her grade there. And then I'm just going to pull these down, and that's everybody's grade, except, don't forget, remember my kid with the X? I should have probably highlighted that when I started over. I got to get rid of those 5 points for him, because when in the real grade book, it's not calculating those. So for him, I'm just going to, instead of saying for him it was out of 369, it's only out of 364 for him. Okay, and now these grades are the ones that I can put into Canvas for, saying what they had as of before online learning started. So those will be my grades. So I hope that this helped you, and if you have other ideas for how to do this and make it easier, let's all share with each other. Hope everybody's hanging in there and staying healthy, and you're all in my thoughts.